I'm Steve, and Absolute Batman number 22 is here. Let's talk about it. The Straw Man Part 4, The Crooked House by Scott Snyder, Werther Dell'Edera, Frank Martin, and Tom Napolitano. So in this issue, we're going to get the origin of Harley Quinn, which is pretty awesome. Also, check out the art in this book. It is different. We have a different artist for this book, Werther Dell'Edera, who is known for Something is Killing the Children of Boom Studios. In this first couple panels here, we're going to see Harley being put to bed by her mom, and of course, no child wants to go to sleep, without their parent, and of course, they think there's some sort of monster hiding in the closet or under the bed or whatever, and yeah. But we also get the origin of the mallet here. We see the mom giving her the mallet, the magic mallet, as her mom says, to whack the bad guys with, and I think, to my understanding, this is one of the only times that we've ever seen the origin of Harley Quinn's mallet. And then on this next page, we get, even if it's not true, it's true. Even if it's not true, it's true. Which, remember that line, because later in the book, you might hear that line. And you see here in the middle, are you even freaking listening to me? And so, who is she talking to? Of course, she's talking to Absolute Batman in this book. Harley Quinn is talking to him as they're fighting some cops, because right now Batman, or Absolute Batman, is a fugitive, following not just Gordon's death, but also Joe Chill's death as well. And Jack Grimm and the Straw Man are trying to pin it on him. And they're talking about Harley Quinn and this story. She's telling the story about her childhood. She's telling the story about her origin. And as she's talking about it, she's kicking butt. Like, this girl, she's crazy. Crazy in a good way, though. Like, we know she's crazy overall. Like, obviously in the main canon universe, she's with the Joker. But it's different in this universe. So, as we're talking, as we're fighting these cops, getting away, or trying to hide, actually, because the Robins and the Robin mechs are trying to get to them. And then we go back and we see Harley talking to her mom, and how it's just the two of them in that crooked house. And she really wanted to meet her dad, and she actually tracked down one of those DNA test kits to get a hold of him. And she also knew that her mom was working for JK, aka Jack Grimm, with their pharmaceuticals and psych farm department. Sorry. And it never really felt like her mom was around that much to help her with stuff. She actually lived online a lot, is what she says in the book. And then we go back to Harley Quinn and Batman going through the tunnels here, again, trying to get away from the cops as he's being hunted down. And all the cops jump him all at once. And Harley Quinn goes, and then she just jumps on the cops, takes them all out one by one. And she goes, let me ask you something. Why do you think the 10 suits showed up as soon as we downed that last squad? She goes, and he goes, what are you saying? I'm saying we need to hide ASAP, meaning she knows the Robins are after them. And the Robins are. And then we go back to, Harley talking about her younger life. We get another shot of the mallet as well. And how she had been writing to her father about how her mom's doing and how she's not, she's spending more and more time away. And, but she also knew that her mom was going after JK for medical malpractice. And around her 13th birthday, things were starting to come to her head. Her mom seemed more obsessed. She was vanishing for days at a time. She was barely talking when she was at home. She became terrified Grimm would find out what she was doing. And she says that her father was starting to get scared as well. And then finally, the moment came. That's when the closet door opened. And we'll go back to that here in a moment. So then you see Absolute Batman and Harley Quinn looking at this garage looking thing. And he goes, you expect me to fit through that? Because, he's such a big guy, 6'9", 421 pounds. It's supposed to be a joke. And she goes, God, you're so dumb sometimes. It's obviously, it's a massive garage door. And the Robins show up and they go, what the hell? That wasn't here before. Into darkness we go. So that, again, they're still searching for Batman. Going through walls, destroying stuff. Actually, it's just Jason destroying stuff. And of course, Dick Grayson's telling them, stop doing that. be subtle. And Jason goes, why don't you go bandage something? Obviously we're getting a lot of the Robins starting to fight with each other. We saw that in the last couple issues as well. And then we go back to Harley Quinn as she goes into the closet, and she sees this pad on the wall, almost like a iPad. She starts trying to figure out the password. It took her a while, but she finally gets it. And what happens is it's a elevator in her house, the Crooked House, as we said earlier. And the elevator goes a long, long way down. It started to descend. And she says, Mom? And she starts to see all sorts of crazy stuff. Crazy monsters, two-headed people. And then this kid ate his way out of a body. Insane stuff. I don't know who that is. Kind of looks like Victor Zsasz to me, but who knows? I don't know. Almost looks like the thing coming out of it looks like the same thing it was in. She starts to go crazy, and she says, all I could do was scream and scream until a hand grabbed her shoulder. And it was her mom. And her mom says, what are you doing down here? And her mom is wearing that famous Harley Quinn hat, and part of her face is blacked out, looking crazy. She's got on an apron of blood all over it. She looks like the canon Harley Quinn, black and red with the hat, looking crazy. And again, Harley is holding her mallet still from the opening pages. She goes, Mom, what happened? What happened to you? And she goes, what happened was I was wrong about Grimm, honey. He's not hurting people, he's helping. And I am too. The cures we're working on, the breakthroughs. And she says, she wasn't my mom anymore. She belonged to that place. She was Dr. Arkham. So Harley Quinn runs. She runs back to the elevator. And then we get a scene back. This is a very typical Scott Snyder, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth stuff. We go back to the Robin saying, this wall, it seems hollow. I think that's Tim saying that. And then one of the other Robins says, I'm getting zero signs of any life behind it unless they've got a jammer smarter than anything I've ever seen. They're not back there, which of course they are. And honestly, these Robins, this art by Werther Dell'Edera kind of reminds me of the Dark Knight Returns art a little bit. And then the Robins race off. They're going to wrap it up for the night. And the Batman comes out, pissed off, destroying a door. And he goes, whatever happened to your mom, it's got nothing to do with me. Harley Quinn is trying to tell Absolute Batman a story, and he's like, I don't care. But then she says something that's really interesting that we're going to talk about here later in the book. She says to him, and I quote, Grimm and his kind pump billions into making people feel scared and angry. And they use people like Scarecrow to point all that anger and fear at some enemy that isn't real, a ghost, a dummy, anything other than the truth. But the brilliant thing about the Scarecrow, he starts with some semblance of truth. Yes, your mother was in a court of owls, but past that, there's nothing I've been able to verify in a way that Scarecrow might have manipulated. Not the Joe Chill part, and definitely not what you're after right now. And he goes, you don't think I know that? That's what I'm going to prove tonight. Now leave me alone. And Harley says, don't you get it? He's playing with you. He's publicized Gordon's death so that people would doubt you. Then with Chill, he buried the fact that you were there too. Why? Because he's telling a story about you. Now you keep going and something awful will happen to finish it. I'm telling you, someone else will die. So if I have to stop you myself, I will. And she hits Absolute Batman with her mallet, which has been, definitely improved since she's a kid. I can't remember what they said in a previous issue or two, or what Scott Snyder said about it, but basically it's been run by car batteries, all sorts of electricity. And he goes, if that's how you want it. And he puts his hands on her, he breaks her mallet, and she basically says, we're done. And she even says, I know what you're going through, and it's only real if you believe it's real. And he walks away, and he walks into where his father is buried, Thomas Wayne. In the rain, of course it's raining always in Gotham. He takes off his cowl, he looks at it, and then we see a quote, Batman, yeah, that's all finished. And it's Harley talking. And Pennyworth says, what do you mean? And she says, our working relationship with that bad word is over, Pennyworth. Red Hood Gang is severing ties, meaning she wants nothing to do with Batman if he's not going to listen to her. She goes, you know what? Fine. If you don't want to hear the end of the story, that's up to you. And she starts, and then we go back to Harley Quinn as a kid. She's running, and she gets back into the Crooked House, and you see this word bubble, and it says, Harley, sweetheart, is that you? She goes, Dad? Dad, thank God you're here. It's Mom. He did something to her down there. Jack. And that's when we see Jack Grimm is her father. And she says, and he says actually, he asked me to come check on your mom, remember? And I think she's doing very well. No, I asked my dad too. And that's when she starts realizing that Jack Grimm is her father. And her mother says, Harley, honey, I know this is a lot to take in, but your father and I, we're back together now. And this part is crazy. Jack Grimm says, give her time, Puddin'. Which is obviously like a line from the main canon universe with Harley and the Joker together. And then she runs off. She says, no, stop, get away from me. Get away from me. And then we get back to Bruce. And he said, go ahead. He's in there. You know he is. And he starts digging up his father's grave. Like, I don't know why he's digging it up. I don't know if he's starting to question everything. I'm assuming so based off of what he says there. Because of what Harley said. We're starting to figure out that like Jack Grimm and the Scarecrow are crazy. I don't know. But then he sees there's no body in that tomb. There's nobody in that coffin. And he says no. And at that moment he gets a phone call from the Scarecrow. And he goes, oh good. I don't like having to leave a message. I've got someone here who's been waiting to speak with you for a long time. Thomas, guess who finally called? Bruce, your son. Actually, Bruce didn't call. It was the Scarecrow calling. But anyways, and you see a person that I assume is his dad. They could be just playing games with him again. I don't know. And the person says, Bruce, no, please, don't let him see me like this. Let him think I'm dead. You promised. And, you know, of course, this person is older, brittle, super skinny. They're in like a cave or, you know, a prison cell or whatever. And this says call terminated. And Bruce is looking down with all of the crows around him from the Scarecrow. And he says to himself, it's not true. It's not true. And then we see Harley one last time saying, even if it's true, it's not true. Even if it's true, it's not true. Even if it's true, to be continued. So that was a crazy issue. Absolutely crazy issue. I loved it. I read it multiple times at this point. The art is definitely different. I do miss Nick Dragata's art quite a bit. Frank Martin on the colors, still amazing. Scott Snyder writing, obviously 10 out of 10. Love this book. What did you guys think about Absolute Batman number 22? Let me know in the comment section. Again, I'm Steve from Burke Family 54 Comics. I'm loving doing these reviews of Absolute Batman and other books as well. So let me know in the comments what you guys think, again, about my video. Which cover did you guys pick up? All of that and more. All right, guys, thanks for watching. And as always, go Cats.
Cowabunga. It's morphin' time.